My name is Dr. Ken Harmon with Stop Living Wounded, and today I want to talk to you about recycling your pain. Years ago, my wife ordered a furniture piece that came in a very large box. Because we were fostering at the time, I decided instead of throwing the box out, I would convert it into this playhouse. What could have been trash to be discarded turned into a place of joy for the countless children we fostered, to include our current daughter, Cora. You see, our God is one who makes old things new. He gives discarded things new meaning. He desires to recycle our pain into His purpose. In other words, He wants to build useful houses out of old boxes. Boxes are the pain and trauma we've experienced. For me, being raped created a sexual addiction box. An unattached mother created a loneliness box. My child dying in my arms created a grieving box. My professor and friend was murdered, which created a purposeless box. Like many of you, I lived my life in a box. But our God is determined to bring beauty from ashes. He is determined to make all things new. In fact, just yesterday, I was in Costco and ran into someone from my previous church. They thanked me for starting Celebrate Recovery in that church. To my surprise, they introduced me to their wife and in front of her said, "You saved our marriage." You see, with God, all things really do work together for His purpose. And His purpose is that we walk alongside others in their pain and in their wounds. In doing so, we recycle our pain. So how did all this happen? Well, as I began to deal with my own boxes, my own pain, my own trauma, God began to strategically, slowly put me in positions to walk alongside others. I'll be honest with you, at the time I didn't feel qualified to do it, but He kept doing it. He then opened a door for me to get a doctorate in pastoral counseling with no debt. It's been said that God doesn't call the qualified, He qualifies the call. Whatever you're going through, remember this always. Pain is not supposed to go to you. It's supposed to go through you. If it stops at you, then you've missed an opportunity to be like Jesus. Dr. Ken, what are you talking about, man? Well, Isaiah said, by His wounds, we are healed, which means by your wounds, someone else should find healing. You're not supposed to just go through pain. You're supposed to recycle it to help others. In fact, Mothers Against Drunk Driving, or MAD, started because a mother went through the pain of losing her daughter to a drunk driver. If you're a woman who's gone through past physical abuse, volunteer at a women's shelter. If you've overcome porn, donate to ministries like BeBroken.org or others, whose sole purpose is to help individuals out of their sexual addiction. If your church doesn't offer opportunities for healing, go to your pastor and say, "Hey, I want to start a Celebrate Recovery." One of my favorite pastors, Chris Hodges, he wrote a book, which I recommend. It's called Out of the Cave. In it, he shares this quote: "The people who inspire us the most are often those who have suffered the most." Ultimately, healing is in God's hand. But if you let Him use you and your wounds and your pain, you will allow Him to recycle your pain for His purposes. I believe 75% of our healing is through counseling, Bible studies, recovery groups, spiritual formation, things like that. And yes, I've been through it all. However, that last 25% is turning around and helping others with the same help you've received. Jesus told Peter, "You're going to betray me, you're going to leave me, you're going to abandon me, and it's going to cause you so much pain." But look at what He says in Luke chapter 22. He says, when you have returned, or some versions say when you have turned back, it says strengthen the brothers. In other words, when you get through this, turn around and help someone else. A few years back, my finger was injured at work and it hurt so bad. I couldn't understand this level of pain. I couldn't understand why I was going through this, and I didn't know what to do with it. A few months later, I was back at work and people were coming up to me saying they were sorry and they were apologizing and comforting me, and I really appreciate it. but they didn't understand this level of pain. One day, individual, her name was Jill, she came up to me and she says, Pastor Ken, I'm so sorry for what you went through. And I was like, yeah, okay, I get it. And she said, no, I am. I'm so sorry. And in my mind, I'm thinking, you can't possibly be sorry and you can't possibly understand this level of pain. She looked at me and she said, Pastor Ken, I do understand. And she held up her finger and it looked exactly like mine. I burst out crying because for the first time in my injury, I really felt like someone understands my pain. And I believe my healing journey started right then. Jill will forever be a part of Ken Harmon healing story. The bottom line is this: if you want to stop living wounded, start holding up your wounds like Jill did for me and like Jesus did for us. You actually stop living wounded when you start helping others, because when you start helping others, you stop living wounded.